Hey guys, Rachele here with Amethyst Ascension, and today is day 14 of the 78 Days of Tarot, and we are going to be discussing the Death card, which is number 13 in the Major Arcana and breaks down to the number 4 in Numerology. The number 4 is also associated with the Emperor card and all of the 4 suits number 4 cards. So let's just get started on the numerology. Number 4 is the foundation builder of the 9 single-digit cardinal numbers in numerology. This is because it gives off a strong masculine vibration of stability, security, practicality, and order-based worker energy. The number 4 reflects a diligent and goal-oriented frequency, which sometimes includes an aspect of control and even restriction. It represents never cutting corners to get what you want, but rather utilizing a quiet, introverted mindset to bring things into completion. Though the 4 may not emanate a social vibration, it reflects the salt of the earth, an energy that builds foundations of lasting value. This is something not one of us here in the physical could survive without. The number 4 is all about internal thoughts being manifested into the physical in a practical way. It is no coincidence that there are many related concepts that revolve around the number 4. Some examples that have lasted the test of time throughout multiple cultures and realities include the 4 elements, which is air, earth, fire, and water, the 4 sacred directions, cardinal points, northeast, southwest, the 4 seasons, spring, summer, autumn, winter, 4 phases of the moon, crescent, gibbous, waxing and waning, plus the 4 quarters, the 4 winds depicted by the 4 sides of the cross and swastika, for example. The stabilized energy of the 4 is reflective of being able to undertake difficult tasks with a methodical sense of organization and strength. Other significant attributes carried by the number 4 include patience, productivity, dependability, and obedience. This vibration is more traditional and conventional as opposed to spontaneous, if I can speak right today, or imaginative. Another fun fact, just as the Pythagoreans considered number 3 the first real number, they considered number 4 to be the absolute perfect number. The zodiac relationships to the number 4. The 4th sign of the astrological zodiac is Cancer. It is the only sign ruled by the moon. Therefore, Cancer is considered the nurturer of the zodiac, as the moon is the divine feminine reflection of our inner self, emotions, and desires. Cancer is reflected by the glyph of the crab, which so very obviously displays the characteristics of this sign. A crab possesses a hard and tough exterior while holding a very sensitive and soft interior, and this shows the energy of Cancer to a T. Cancer resists any kind of change and then retreats to their inner to shield themselves. As a water sign, Cancers are natural-born detectives, and as a cardinal quadruplicity, they are initiative, but their emotions rule them, which creates a balance of strength versus vulnerability. The number 4 represents strategic order to manifest strong foundations. So the number 4 encompasses the energy of building foundations that will be made to last. No matter the goal or how long it takes, a 4 energy will be sure to utilize their mental strengths while taking positive strides towards goals. The universe is always on our side and will help you advance along your journey as long as you put in the necessary preparation and effort toward your plans. That information came from wemystic.com. Now I'm going to read the astrology that is actually related to the Death card rather than the number 4. Okay? And that is Scorpio. Believe it or not, the Death card isn't a bad omen. It's not a portent of doom or imminent destruction. Instead, it's a card of transition. It almost never refers to an actual physical death. In practical terms, it's more likely to suggest a release, a change of form, a transformation, or the little deaths of sex and sleep. While most people fear death, those who are born under Scorpio's influence are unafraid of darkness. In fact, they are fascinated by the interconnected mysteries of death and sex. Scorpios understand, perhaps better than any other sign, that death does not always have the sting associated with its signature emblem, the scorpion. Occasionally, Scorpio is also represented by an eagle, a bird of prey, or a phoenix, the mythical bird that dies and is reborn from its own ashes. The bird is a symbol of destruction and purification by fire and subsequent rebirth from the ashes. It's a metaphor for transformation and change, metamorphosis and rebirth. It doesn't represent the loss of energy. Instead, it symbolizes a conversion. Like the reborn phoenix, the death card heralds the completion of one chapter of life and the exciting new start of another. When the death card rears its ugly head in a tarot reading, it could also refer to a death that's already transpired, especially if that passing has gone unnoticed or unacknowledged. Now, there's more, but I am going to move on to another book. Like I said, that was Tarot and Astrology, or maybe I didn't say, Tarot and Astrology by Corinne Kenner. Now we are going to touch on Kitchen Table Tarot by Melissa Sonova. Okay, I'm only going to say this once. Actually, I'm going to say it 5 times. Death means change. Death means change. Okay, you get the point. Change every bloody time I see a TV show or a movie that has a killer leaving the death card at a crime scene. I just want to come up out of my seat. For heaven's sake, do your research, writers. Your murderer leaving this card implies that he's going to stop killing and straighten up and fly right. How anticlimactic. So let's look at the basic card. Death looks pretty noble. He's dead center in the card, and she is actually working with a different deck when she's talking about the illustration, but we're going to just go with it and see what she says, okay? He's dead center in the card, getting completely ignored by the other people present. Yeah, no, it doesn't look like that here. You see death come striding through the middle of the card, and no one is paying attention. Not the 2 other people to the side, not the king, who is face down and dead as a doornail, and not the priest. The sun is rising, and death is on the march. This change is happening, and nothing is going to stop it. No one is looking at the rising sun. Death is wearing armor and is completely prepared to knock whatever he needs to out of the way. You have no choice here. This card appears when change is coming, like it or not. It's usually time, too. Things have gotten too stagnant and comfortable that your, pardon my French, your ass is leaving an imprint on your chair. Time to move. I like change, however it comes along. You have been still for too long, and the universe has decided to shake you loose. There can be no life without death. You've got to release. Change is coming. It cannot be ignored. It can be scary and difficult and sometimes include great tragedy. Your life, your relationships, and the structure of your universe has all changed, and you have grown, like it or not. But with this change and struggle comes the beauty of rebirth and new opportunity. If you embrace the change, when one door closes, you can kick out a few windows and let the light shine in. You've got to release everything old. You have to be stripped down to the bone to start over entirely. It hurts. Man, sometimes it hurts so badly, but it's worth it. One of the best things about death is that he is tired. He is coming slowly and steadily, and if you're paying attention, you can walk along beside him instead of being trampled underfoot. I love how she writes. She's definitely feisty. I love it. Okay, now I'm going to read a little bit out of Holistic Tarot by Benabel Wen. Death, the contemporary indication for Key 13. Death is that of transformation and metamorphosis. The veil, the mask of life, is perpetuated in change. Transformation and passage from lower to higher. The card depicts the end of a phase or stage in the seeker's life and the beginning of a new one. The Death card is about change. It assuages the tendency in human nature to resist change. Change is generally uncomfortable. The Death card appears in readings for seekers who are about to embark on a dramatically new phase in their lives. The transformation process will be painful for the seeker. It will be one of the harder moments of the seeker's life, but endure and persevere. A bright new era will be up ahead. It can also indicate the overthrow of a former authoritarian regime and the natural cycle of revolution. It can suggest the waning of power of one authority and the growing ascending power of a new. It is the card of revolutions. Traditionally, key 13, which is the Death card, related to death and birth, property and inheritance, society and family, war and treaties. The Death card also calls to mind plague, in particular the bubonic plague of 1347 or the Black Death. In the card imagery, many have interpreted a literal plague being depicted, one that reduces king and peasant alike to their mortality. When the card appears in a spread for someone privileged or of high status, it is a reminder that no one is above suffering. King and peasant alike deal with pain and affliction. Alternatively, there is speculation that key 13, or the Death card, is inspired by Friday the 13th in October 1307, when the Knights Templar were summarily charged with offenses such as heresy, idolatry, apostasy, and homosexuality, and subsequently tortured and killed. The card follows key 12, the Hanged Man, which represents the unjust persecution and wrongful convictions of the Templars. Generally, the Death card indicates personal calamity in the seeker's life that is beyond his or her control. The Death card is reminiscent of the darker aspects of key 10, the Wheel of Fortune. Acknowledge that these are difficult times that will try the soul, but they are necessary experiences that the seeker must endure to find the greatness that is promised to the seeker. This is also a card about feeling inflicted over and resistant to change. The seeker is being pushed or pressured to transform out of the current state of affliction to a brighter status, but he or she is resisting it. The card's appearance in a reading is a call to let go of the present and move on. Note in the backdrop of the card a sun rising. Where was I? From the waters. The imagery is said to have Rosicrucian implications, indicating reformation and epiphany, clarity that will be offered, or the first light of the divine coming through. Sun symbolism throughout the tarot can be seen to represent great work, the great work, a seeker's magnum opus. Here in the Death card, the rider and the horse are marching in the direction of the rising sun, though the sun is still far in the distance. The pain and suffering that the seeker experiences now, this transitioning or transmutation period, is important for the seeker's development toward his or her magnum opus. The element of water governs this card, indicating fluidity. Attributions associated with water will represent the external forces at play in the seeker's situation. This is due to the Death card's association with Scorpio, a water sign. Yin energy is dominant due to the card's association with Scorpio. Timing-wise, it could denote the period October 23rd through November 21st. Okay. So, I am just going to read out of the Everyday Witch. And I'm going to put that card up for you. And then I'm going to show you guys all of the different cards, okay? A black, cloaked, and hooded figure stands in the middle of a dark landscape. A blank, white porcelain mask over its face. It holds a silver sword poised over a fraying brown rope. To one side of the figure there is a closed door, and to the other there is a door that is open just enough to show a golden light shining through. At the edge of the card, a black cat has one paw on a gray tail of something that is running away. The feeling of the card is grim, but with a glimmer of hope. Don't panic. The death card doesn't always mean actual death. In fact, it is much more likely to indicate the death of something, such as the end of an era and the beginning of another. We often have to let go of one thing to make room for something better, but that doesn't mean that the process is always pleasant, or that you know that this is what is happening while you are caught up in the pain of the transition. A bad relationship dies so that you can find a better one. You lose a job that is sucking the soul out of you. These deaths hurt, don't they? But when you look back on them later, you will do so with gratitude because they freed you to move on. It is okay to mourn, but don't forget that death can also mean rebirth into something wonderful. The death card doesn't seem like it is the bright bringer of good news, does it? But it also rarely comes as a surprise. You probably already knew that something was ending. Hopefully you have caught a glimpse of whatever new thing will take its place and can find some solace in it. It's okay to mourn your loss. Just don't make the mistake of hanging on to something that is already gone. It's dead. Let it go. And when you are done mourning, perhaps you will be able to find the open door that has taken the place of the one that just closed. You know, it's actually a very common phrase. You know, you hear people say, especially that when times are tough, you know, when one door closes, another one opens. And I try to always look on the positive side of everything. And I am a strong believer that we, you know, disclaimer, these are my beliefs. I'm not trying to put these off onto anybody else, but I'm a strong believer that we chart our life before we come into incarnation with each life, because I believe in past lives. But I also believe that the things that we go through that are so difficult are those things that are truly transformational. Those are the things that help us grow and become better. And, you know, and I believe that true character is really built on adversity. So when I see the death card, it's not like I am, and I guess this is where I'm kind of putting in my own 2 cents as far as what my beliefs on the death card are. It's not that it's not a bit scary, but I will say probably, like it said in the book, is not a surprise, because if it comes up in your reading, you're probably already figuring that there's something that's been going on, or something that you just can't maintain a routine anymore, or things just are not working out the way that they needed to, and it's time for that to end. And although that may be painful, it's the thing to do in order for you to be able to move on, in order for you to evolve. And one of the things that I see with the death card is I truly believe that right now we are going through an ascension, and it it is painful, meaning there are a lot of physical things that are happening to our bodies because of it, because we're moving into another area of the solar system. And because our Earth is, you know, Mother Gaia is going through an ascension herself. And, you know, my understanding is that we're in the third 3D right now, and we're moving into the 4D and 5D, okay? Which are different, you know, that's why there's like light workers here right now, because we're going through an ascension. And that's also, namely, while I named this channel and my business Amethyst Ascension, because I completely 100% believe that we are going through it. And that's why a lot of people are also going through health problems, and will continue to go through health problems, because, you know, it's like growing pains. In order for us to be ready for that ascension, we have to get rid of all of the things that just are not good for us. So when I see the death card, I think, you know what? You're doing something right. You're on your right path, because I want to ascend. So that's how I see it, that it is an ending of something that has not served you and a beginning of something new. It might be a little bit painful, but you're going to grow physically, spiritually, and emotionally from it. So I see that as a good thing. Now, I'm going to just show you all of the cards now. Like I said, this is the Everyday Witch death card. And this is the Universal Rider-Waite. This is the Druid Craft. I love this card. That is so friggin' awesome. So beautiful. This is Gilded Tarot by Cyril Marchetti. Journey to the Hidden Realms. This is the Mermaid Tarot. You know, in one of the books it talked about the phoenix rising from the ashes. Well, this is the Shadowscapes. That's what we show for the Death card. This is the Good Tarot. What is she holding? Oh, I think that's a phoenix also. Something like that. Here is the Angel Tarot. And the Psychic Tarot. So there you have it, guys. I hope you have enjoyed this video. If so, please give me a like, hit that subscribe button, and don't forget the little notification bell so that you can be notified of new video releases. And I'm wishing you guys always love and light.